Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to continue on with this kind of Nordic series across December that I've been doing for you, but we're taking a little bit of a break from Sweden as we did yesterday with my Christmas Eve beer from Iceland, and today I'm actually filming my Christmas Day review. So this one should be quite interesting. So we're going to go to Grimstad in the south of Norway, and we're going to visit Nøgne Ø again, and these guys are a very good brewery, very highly regarded in craft beer circles, and tonight we're having a taste of their Underlig Jul, which is supposed to be a really quite nice sort of malty spiced beer, a really nice kind of Christmas beer, this one apparently. So should be a very interesting one for us to review. And the only other Nøgne Ø review that I've actually done for you was a long time ago, video number 100, and it was number 100, which was my first ever review of a barley wine, and I really like this brewery, but I've just never really got around to actually reviewing more of their beers because they're actually quite hard to come across in Scotland, but I can get them through Systembolaget here in Sweden now, so hopefully I can review a few more of their things for you over the next little while, but this should be a very interesting review. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual website links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Nøgne Ø before, and there will be more added to that in the near future, hopefully, nearer than the last one anyway, but there's all the usual social media things down there as well, the Facebook, the Twitter and the Untappd, so feel free to get in touch with me through whatever means you like. And to my Norwegian viewers, I do apologise in advance if any of the pronunciations aren't quite right. I'm still learning Swedish, so I've not really got the hang of Norwegian yet, but please do let me know some other Norwegian beers that you'd like me to have a look at. And I've done a couple, Austmann, Keen, Handbryggeriet, and now these guys as well, so do check out the Norwegian reviews that are already on the channel. So anyway, to tell you about Nøgne Ø, or Naked Island as it literally means, this is an independent brewery that was founded in 2002 by Gunnar Vig and Kjetil Jikuen. And they're actually based in Grimstad, as I told you, in Norway, which is in Aust-Agder county in the Sørlandet region in southern Norway, and it's a little maritime town that's split between many different little islands called Skiergard, and it's only got a population of about 21,000. As I said a minute ago, Nøgne Ø means naked isle in Old Danish, and it was chosen from a well-known 19th century poem called Terje Vigen, which was by Henrik Ibsen, who actually worked for some time in Grimstad as an apprentice pharmacist. But Gunnar and Kjetil were originally home brewers, and they say that they decided to start brewing on a larger scale because of the lack of diversity of beer within Norway, and apparently 98% of the beers in the country are the yellow factory fizz type lager beers, but I'm guessing this has changed a little bit with all the interesting craft beers that are appearing in Norway these days. As I said, there's Handbryggeriet Keen, there's Lervig as well, these guys Nøgne Ø, and there's Austmann Brewery are starting to make a few big changes as well, so there's quite a few good Norwegian craft breweries there, and of course there'll be countless ones that I've never heard of before too. But like many craft breweries, these guys like to brew complex beers, and they say that they won't compromise on the flavour of their beers. So the subtitle of the brewery is actually Det Kompromissløse Bryggeri, and this means the uncompromising brewery, as I'm sure you can imagine. But they only produce top fermented and bottle conditioned ales. They use top fermenting brewer's yeast that ferments quickly at high temperatures to give the beers sort of fruity and complex flavours, and they don't filter the beer, but rather they ferment it a second time in the bottle where it's served, and they call this a live beer, and the yeast left inside the beers actually gives it a much longer shelf life, and it prevents the beer from breaking down and giving you that horrible kind of onion flavour, if you like, where the hops are dropped. But apparently these beers can last for many years and even decades in some cases. So I do wonder, if they say 6.5% on this one, but if it's been sitting for a little while, maybe the alcohol content actually does go up a little bit, you never know. But they have grown from being a 300 hectolitre brewery in 2003 to an estimated 3,500 hectolitres and growing since 2010. And they make over 20 different styles of ale as well. If you look on the website, you'll see some of those. But for a number of years, they existed without paid employees, and people were very happy to give up their time and help them produce the beer in the brewery. And now they are a very established name in the Norwegian craft beer circle and further abroad as well. But nowadays, they boast a diverse staff, including people from Norway, Sweden, Malaysia, Burma, Canada, and also America. And they also boast the title of being Europe's first sake brewery. And apparently, all of these are brewed using that Yamahai method, using greenpea rice from Hokkaido in Japan, a very beautiful part of the country. My missus is from Japan, so I'm sure she would confirm that for you. But they've got 5 different products in their sake range, and the symbol is similar to what is on the beer here, but it uses the Japanese characters Hakata Jim, which means naked island as well. As I said, Nøgne Ø in Old Danish means Naked Island. But they've got beer and sake blogs where you can keep up to date with the most latest goings on at the brewery. But just to list the other beers from the brewery, that's your brief history. Just to list the year-round brews from Nøgne Ø, there's the Wit, the Blonde, Brown, Bitter, Havre Stout, the Pale, the IPA, the Porter, Imperial Brown, Imperial Stout, Tiger Triple, Brown, Saison, Two Captains, number 100 which was a barley wine, and number 500 which I think was a double IPA. The seasonal beers are the Godjul, Julesnader, the Pales, Satin Brew, Underlig Jul, which is this guy here, Winter Ale, and Peculiar Jul as well. They've also got a few special brews as well, Aku Aku, Nighthawk, Single Hop Citra, Double Hop IPA, Hoppy Smoke, and India Saison, and those are changing all the times, of course. One of their most famous beers was the one that they did in collaboration with, I think it was Mikkeller, and also with Brewdog as well. What was that called again? Tokyo Dark Horizon, I think, and that was a really, really nice one. But they've got a number of retired beers and collection and collaboration brews from all over the world. As I say, check out the brewery website below and you'll get an idea of some of these different beers that they've done. But these guys, I can tell you straight up, are a really, really good brewery. So if you haven't tried them before, they are definitely worth checking out. But anyway, that's all your stuff on the history of the brewery. Let's actually get into tasting this beer now. Should be really cool. So as I said, this guy is a 6.5% spiced beer. It's hopped with Columbus and Centennial, and it's got a malt base of Maris Otter, Munich, caramel and chocolate malts, and it's also got the addition of 5 different spices there as well, and it uses an English brewer's yeast, this one, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, should be really cool. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we pop it open. You can see the standard Nøgne Ø in this one, which is pretty cool with all the little snowflakes and things. All the beers have a very similar kind of artwork to this one, unless they're special. You can see the Nøgne Ø bottle cap on the top there, and it says on the side, Underlig Jul is where gløgg meets beer. And this is one of these kind of, how do you say, glühwein sort of things. I think gløgg is the Norwegian equivalent of glühwein from Germany, but it's brewed with cinnamon, ginger, cloves, coriander and cardamom, so there's the spices for you. Try it with traditional Christmas cookies. As it is unfiltered and unpasteurised, we recommend to pour it cautiously and leave the natural sediments behind. Serve at 10 degrees in a wide goblet. So this one, it'll be a little bit below that just now. I took it out of the fridge about half an hour ago, so maybe it's about 8 or 9, but it should warm up as we get it out and into the glass a bit more too. But yeah, looks very nice, as I say, from Grimstad in Norway. So yeah, let's crack this guy open and we'll get on with it. I've been wanting to try this beer since I got it in a few weeks ago. So, as you can see, a nice smoky opening on this one. And we'll just need to be careful with it, like they said, because the head might go a little bit crazy. It's not too bad actually. I've had Belgian beers explode on me when I've tried to do it like this before. So yeah. We'll leave it at that for the moment, and we can go back and have the rest later if needs be. So, as you can see, this beer's poured a really nice kind of dark, chestnutty, mahogany colour. I'll just bring the light over and let you see that. Yeah, it's got actually, there's quite a lot of little sediment particles visible in this one as there, but it's got a nice mahogany, sort of red mahogany, chestnutty colour. There's a finger of a frothy beige head on this one. Looks really, really nice. Some big bubbles sitting there on the side and a lot of little ones going up towards the bottom of the head. If I put my fingers behind it, there is a little bit of transparency when you shine the light through it, but you're probably not going to see that on the camera. A very, very dark beer in that regard, but yeah, a nice kind of red tint to the edge, kind of coppery colour on the edge rather than a ruby tint, but I think it's fair to describe this beer as a dark chestnut kind of mahogany colour. Looks very nice, not quite rosewood, maybe, yeah, definitely rosewood, not rosewood. Quite hard to decide this, I always try and describe it inside the woods, but chestnutty colour, mahogany, and perhaps just at the top a little bit of rosewood. A little bit of indecision there on my part describing the colour of this beer, but regardless, it looks very, very nice. So let's give this guy a smell and see how we get on then. Oof, yeah. You'll notice this, it's a very unusual aroma, really, really spicy. It's the cinnamon and the ginger that's coming out of this one first off. I don't know what cardamom actually smells like, I've never come across that one. So there is an aspect of unusual aroma from this, for my nose at least. And there is a bit of an unusual spice coming out, so maybe that is the cardamom that's coming out of there. But you can definitely pick up the ginger, and the ginger and the cinnamon are really quite obvious in this beer. The cloves are a little bit more subtle, I would think. Usually that's the thing, of course, a flavour you find in Hefeweizen beers. Coriander's not really that noticeable actually. I think it's definitely the ginger and the cinnamon that are coming out of this beer. The ginger is really quite sharp, but there's a bit of an unusual element to this one, and that's probably the cardamom, I would think. As I say, a spice I've never really come across, but you'll notice that with this huge spicy character, which is exactly what you were expecting when you hear that it is a spice beer. If you sugar it up a little bit more, you can get some of the bready and yeasty characteristics out of this one. It's actually got a big doughy yeast nose to it, and it's quite interesting when you see that. It's mixed in with all these nice spices that they've put in this beer. And this is going to be a good one, you can tell just from smelling it, and Nøgne Ø have such a good reputation as well. So this is the ideal beer for my Christmas Day review, so I hope you guys enjoy it. But yeah, a nice big bready yeasty character, some sweet caramel malts coming out of there too. Sort of toffee-ish or butterscotch actually, very sweet caramel malt rather than being a toasted caramel malt. But interestingly as well, you can also pick up some of the hoppy character coming out of this beer as well. There's a sort of herbal and earthy character coming out of the hop in this. A little bit of a sort of floral or aromatic character. If you sugar it up a bit more, you can smell it, that the floral and aromatic herbal character just mixing in with the spices in this beer, and there is just a little hint of an earthy hop coming out of this beer too. And yeah, maybe a little bit of red fruit. A little bit of a red fruity ester, kind of candied fruits or raisins or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot going on in this beer, so as I always say, before you actually taste the beer, just give it a good smell and pick up all the things, and especially with this one, because it is one of the more unusual aromas I've come across at least, and that's in 600 or so beers now that I've reviewed for you, so do check it out. But anyway, let's get stuck into this beer then. This is the Underlig Jul from Nøgne Ø in Grimstad in Norway. Merry Christmas to those of you watching, and I hope you're enjoying this series of Nordic reviews across December and the Swedish things as well. Skål! That's really quite interesting. That's like, we get Christmas beers at home, but this one's like nothing I've ever really tasted. It's quite earthy and quite dark in its spices, and I have to say it works really quite well. Very different to the usual things that you would expect from Nøgne Ø, but that doesn't make it any less good. It's just a very interesting taste, so it will test your palate a little bit. Yeah. So, much as you would expect from the aroma in this one, there's a big bready and yeasty character, and that underpins most of the beer. But as you would expect as well from reading about this beer, there's a hell of a lot of spiciness in there. So it actually to me tastes a little bit like nutmeg, but there isn't nutmeg in this one. The coriander there, you can feel that mixing with the actual bready and yeasty character. It's almost as if it's infused in there. But the cinnamon and the sort of cardamom, you can pick up a little bit of an unusual spicy character. So I'm guessing that that's the cardamom. But the ginger and the coriander for me are the ones that are really sticking out in this beer. Yeah, they kind of just sit in the middle of your palate. It's almost like you've got a big dot right in the middle of your palate, and there's this big kind of spicy character just sitting on top of that, and everything, the spice is just sort of spreading out from that centre point of your tongue. There's a good bit of sweet caramel for this one. If you just go right down the middle of the tongue, you can pick up the nice sweet caramel. As I was saying with the aroma, to me it comes across as being a kind of butterscotch or toffee caramel rather than a toasted caramel, as sometimes you can get in bock beers and things like that. Definitely more of a sweet caramel flavour that's coming out in this one. You'll just feel it right down the middle of the palate. Yeah, there's a little bit of a chocolatey character to this as well, but I think that's quite subtle. I'm noticing with this one, some of the fruity characters you'll get from the American hops that are in this beer. As I said, it's Columbus and Centennial in this one. You can definitely pick out those in this beer too. And you might be surprised, but it actually works kind of really quite well with that spicy dot right in the middle of your tongue. It gives you a good contrast of flavour. If you move out towards the hoppy parts of the palate, which is the edge of the tongue, there's a good earthy character at the very back of the palate, and that's actually quite dry. I'm noticing that just sitting there and getting drier and drier as the flavour of the beer progresses, but it's really nice. There's actually a bit of nutty flavour there in the middle of the palate too, so just pay attention for that. That comes out a little bit as your palate adjusts to this beer. This beer, as I say, it's quite an unusual flavour for me, so you have to let your palate adjust to it properly before you start kind of dissecting it and think what's actually in this beer. But as you move further forward from that earthy character that I was talking about, the hoppy character becomes a bit more herbal, if you like, and then around the front of the palate there's maybe just a little bit of an aromatic floral character, and that'll be from the Centennial. The Columbus has a little bit of it as well, but the Columbus is maybe more kind of fruity, I think, than the Centennial. The Centennial is a really good bittering hop and gives you a nice florally aromatic character. But as I was saying, there's a lot of a kind of fruity ester in this beer. If you go just behind the very front of your palate, the front curve of your palate there, just go behind it and there's a nice big oily bubble in there for this one. It's really quite nicely done, I have to admit, so just pay attention to that. There's a kind of dark red fruity ester coming out to this one, and probably raisins, plums are a good way to describe this one. It is quite sharp, but there's a little bit of the lighter kind of figs and sort of candied fruit flavour coming out in that oily bubble as well. So as you can probably gather by all the flavours that I'm listing to you in this one, there's a lot of stuff going on in this beer, so it's one that you want to kind of think about a little bit. For me, this is a taster beer. It's one that you try every so often to enjoy and just kind of think about the different flavours. Really good in that regard. If you want something a little bit more sessionable from Nøgne Ø, they've got that. I mean, they've got their IPAs, they've got some stouts if you like your darker beers, they've got a whole host of things, but for me, this is a kind of treat beer where you want to enjoy something a little bit different and think about it a bit too. Very, very well done, and the spicy character in this is, pardon me, really quite interesting. So if you like these sort of like still water artisanal beers, things like that, and the group beers is another one as well. If you like that sort of thing, you will like this. And Nøgne Ø, as I say, such a good brewery, you can't go wrong with these guys. Pick a style you like and you really won't go wrong. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, I would say probably mid-bodied, maybe even pushing the full-bodied character. The spiciness and the yeasty character in this one makes it feel a little bit heavier than it is. The carbonation is quite smooth, but for me, this one has a big oily mouthfeel, this one, but it's more of a wet oil than a kind of sticky oil, if that makes sense. Yeah. Although that said, since I first drank, I thought it was quite wet and oily. It's maybe warmed up a little bit, and it will become more of a kind of thicker, oily character it will progress to a more thicker, oily character as you progress through the beer. But there's a good bit of malty sweetness in there. There's a bit of dryness actually from the spice in this one. The beer does feel quite dry to me, but there's also a bit of dryness from the hops coming out too, especially the earthy and herbal hops that you get on the sides of the palate, the very edge of your tongue there. But there's also a little bit of juicy character, as I said, from these fruity esters that are coming out in this beer. So overall, like I said, very, very interesting beer. Try this one if you like the sort of Christmas spiced and sort of bready, yeasty beers. This is a really good one for you to try if you're into that sort of thing. So this beer, it really is quite unusual, but I can see a lot of people enjoying this one. They do have another Christmas beer, so I'll see if I can get a hold of that one, but I thought this was a really good one to review for my Christmas Day beer. But yeah, if you like spiced beers, if you like all this kind of big bready, doughy sort of things that you get from Belgian beers, and then if you infuse it with a sort of Christmas beer, this is the sort of one that you're going for. But to me, this is a treat beer that you try every so often to just test your palate a little bit and do that, and it's actually very nice. So I would recommend that you try it. If you want to try this brewery but something that's a bit more kind of normal, if you like, try the IPA that's supposed to be very good. There's the barley wine, the number 100, they've got brown ales, they've got stouts. Basically with this brewery, I can pretty much guarantee you, if you pick a style you like, you're going to enjoy it, and if you don't, well, that you've just picked the wrong beer, I guess, because these guys are a very, very good brewery, so do go and check them out. But anyway, as always, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. If you have tried this beer before, let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on it. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. To my Norwegian viewers, please do let me know some other Norwegian beers you'd like me to have a look at, and please do share my videos as well in Norway, because the breweries have told me they can't actually share the reviews themselves, so if you can share the videos for me in Norway and I can help pick up some more Norwegian viewers, that would be really hugely appreciated. But do let me know some other Norwegian beers to review. Thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. I'm sure I'll return to Norway pretty soon, and also to Nøgne Ø. Very good brewery, very good beer country these days as well. So do check out my social media things, and please follow me on there, and I will be back soon with more beer reviews. Happy Christmas to you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this Christmas Day beer review. Go and enjoy the time with your families, and have a good festive season, and I will catch you soon with more beer reviews, and more importantly, more Norwegian beer. Slàinte just now.